Good evening and welcome to Power Brief. This being the first day of the month of July, the year 2021. The second half of the year 2021 has officially begun. And tonight we take a break, another trajectory from the ongoing politics that is at the Court of Appeal. That is a BBI appeal that has been presented there. We look tonight into matters to do with the Kenyan University education at a time when there are so many discussions regarding the eligibility of different people to vie for various seats, and also we look into the funding of university education in Kenya. We are joined by Mr. Edgar Kosgei, who is a policy analyst, and tonight is going to assist us to understand some of these matters and how do they relate with the governance system in Kenya. We are also joined by Mr. Sally Kato. Mr. Sally Kato is a student leader at the Presbyterian University of East Africa. Mrs. Josephine Njoki is also with us here in studio. She has over 20 years experience working at the institutions of higher learning, that is at the universities. My name is Cornelius Omuse and I welcome you into this discussion, which is also being broadcasted on our Facebook page, KAK TV Kenya. YouTube is KAK TV Kenya. Keep it here on Power Brief on KAK TV. Gentlemen and lady, welcome to Power Brief tonight.
Thank you very much.
It's your first time. It's also your first time. Mr. Edgar is our resident
veteran
analyst. And the day has been long. A lot is happening. The president is in France. And also during the day, the Milele PCA Hotel has just officially opened its swimming pool. Edgar was to come, but I think ulishikwa barabarani. It's been very colorful. You've also seen it in our news.
That's what I've seen, and I'm grateful for the great work that is going on with
exactly. So straight away, we go into our tonight's topic. And we begin by looking at the status at our universities. Especially currently as we are having the COVID-19. When we had the COVID-19 last year, a lot happened, universities were closed down, but after some time, students were recalled, and there it began this issue of offering studies or teaching through online method. And we want to do a brief review. You having been there, also Mr. Edgar, being a part-time lecturer and also at the same time a student, because learning continues. We want to look at it. Which merits does it bring, and also demerits, and how properly can it be improved, beginning with Josephine.
I think if when we do the technology, we go to the technology way in the universities, the advantages, maybe the merits that we can say is that it is less cumbersome, because you can teach from where you are, teach your students while they're still at home in their respective places. Then again, I think it is less costly to the people, especially maybe to the students and the parents, because of the travels and everything else. I think that is the advantage of going the technology way, especially in these times of COVID.
Thank you very much. Mr. Sally Kato, you not tell us the advantages. Josephine has just talked of the advantages that a student is very far there at Malaba in Busia County, and a lecturer is somewhere there at the Presbyterian University of East Africa. But again, how have students responded to this mode of study? Are they punctual? Do they attend these classes? Are they absorbing something? I want to say miss.
Oh, thank you very much, Cornelius. It is indeed very good. This technology, once it's used in our schools here, it makes education a little more easier, because students are in position to think, to listen very fast, using the materials available to them, and it's really very good. It also motivates them. You know, when someone is seated on a computer, he feels like learning much more. It's a way of motivating them, and they learn more. And again, it accommodates them. Even the teacher or the lecturer and the students, they feel motivated when they are using this kind of technology. It's very important. And it also replaces the time that the students might have spent, or rather wasted, just revising. Knowledge is right there. Knowledge is right there. And it's also very good that there is development of skills, like a reading skill, typing skill, even being a little more accurate on analyzing things, technology brings all these things, and it also encourages collaborations between the teachers, the students, that they all come to understand what is right there. That collaboration goes beyond the class and goes outside in the field and even across the globe. Take an example. When you are at the university, I'm in a position to communicate to a student in Uganda, in the US, and everywhere, because knowledge is right here. So technology at this stage is very, very key. And I would appreciate and appeal that possibly almost all could advocate for the same, because it makes everything very much good. And it as well engages seriously the students and the lecturers. They get engaged in Kanisa seriously. And as well, it completely improves their capacity, their thinking. I can see even right now, when I'm doing technology, like I'm doing my research, I do not know much how to do research and so on and so forth. But right now, because of technology, with a matter of clicking like this, I know where knowledge is. So with the technology, it's very, very important, and I will advocate and pray that almost all universities go in for technology.
Thank you. Now, we've seen merits from Josephine, we've also seen merits from you. But Mr. Kosgei, there is a way that, having analyzed this mode of teaching and engagements between learners and the lecturers, you realize that there are a number of obstacles, even when you're marking papers, or even when these people go outside there during attachments and internships and placements. You might have realized that there are so many also demerits coming up. And what are some of these demerits, and what do you think can be done to address it? Bearing in mind that some of these courses are practical ones.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I want to differ with them a bit, because technology has its complexities. Laying down the cabling and everything you need for technology is costly first. When you look at the universities, University of Nairobi, JKUAT University, the infrastructure needed to have technology work for you is expensive, is costly, is engaging, but it is the future. When we look at the country, where are we in terms of technology? Look at Kenya, and then you compare it with the most advanced countries like the US, the UK. Where are we in terms of technology before we talk about how easy it is to sit in the class, in the classroom or in the lecture hall and enjoy technology? Before you use your computer, you need to learn how to use a computer. That is costly. You need also to change your mindset, to change yourself to fit into the technology, that box of the technology. You need to. The preparations that are needed by the country to embrace technology are beyond, and they are too much. And sometimes we don't even put it into consideration when we are venturing into technology. So, if you ask yourself first, you know, when you talk about technology, fiber optic cable comes into mind. Do we have fiber in Nairobi University? Maybe we do, because it is here with us. Do we have it in JKUAT? Maybe we do, because it's next to us. The 22 public universities in Kenya, are we exposed to fiber optic cable for fast internet speeds? And also you have to ask yourself whether, if we have that in our lecture halls, do we have it in our hostels? Because after the lecture halls, when you go to the hostels, we need to be having technology there with us, right there with us, without struggling to go to the lecture halls. The infrastructure of Muse is consuming. Another demerit is socialization. You cannot have people coming together to learn from each other from different parts of the country. People learn at their own pace at home. That's an advantage. You can even skip ahead. You can even do something that was supposed to be done in future. And those are the merits. But the demerits, we need to prepare ourselves as a country to embrace the future. The future is technology. And thank God for Corona. It wasted us, yes. But we now know that we can learn from home. We now know that universities can run without lecture halls. We now know. Now we need to build on that.
Thank you.
To see the future.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, this brings us into another issue here. A few days ago, the Cabinet Secretary for Finance, that is Ambassador Ukur Yatani, talked of the current fees amount that are being paid at the universities are two-way low compared to the demands as at now, because he talked of this fee that is being paid right now was introduced somewhere in the year 1994, backwards there. And then
89
there,
Yes.
when a lot of us here were not born. Yeah. Now, it brings in that issue of the funding, because they were talking of they are going to harmonize with stakeholders to see to it that it gets into something to do with the 200,000, and it has elicited a lot of debate. There are those ones who are talking of university education is going to be killed so that it goes to TVET, something like that. So, Josephine, from your experience with over 20 years at the institutions of higher learning, do you think it is time that these fees increase to this amount?
Thank you very much. When you talk of is it the right time, let's go back that we have COVID, which has really messed everything up. Maybe it is necessary, yes, to bring up this fee, the university fee, but at the moment I don't think it would really be okay. When we come, let's say if the fees is risen up, it means that help also goes up, or what happens? What happens to that parent or that sponsor or that guardian who is struggling back at home right now to pay what is there? Yeah. At the current moment, I don't think increasing the fee is really workable. Yeah.
So as that issue of increasing the fee came up, a few months ago, just at the beginning of the year, the Higher Education Loans Board gave out a communication that they're going to decrease the allocation of the loan. And you as a student leader, and also at the same time as a student, a lot of cries came out regarding this move. And I remember you had a meeting in Mombasa. Probably, what are some of the resolutions that came out as a result of this issue?
Thank you very much. What Josephine, before I go to your question, what Josephine is saying, that it's not the right time. When then is the right time to increase? I think what is equally very key is to see that at least every person get ready for the at the rate at which the world is moving. If you only wait for the time that I will be ready at such a time, possibly it might not be. We need to compete at this rate at which the world is moving. If it is to increase, that is when the people as well will work. So the more you raise your standard, the more the brain will work to think and how to survive. Going back to the issue of the HELB, we had a meeting for all the university leaders in the at Mombasa, and it was resolved that indeed it is okay, that at least they will increase the HELB, and as well it is wise.
To what amount?
I may not say.
Because
right
currently
now,
we're having maximum capped at 60,000 Kenya shillings.
possibly I may not say it right now for because of the way we are, but the point was they should increase, and possibly those students that are joining, like the freshers at the universities, at least be given the computers, which is very okay. This is seen due to the fact that some come from very far places, remote places. So when it comes to the rate at which we are going online with the studies, others possibly might not manage to afford the computers. But when they get a chance to get them, or rather HELB or the government giving them, it will be very, very okay. So I think it is a good move that the government can look into. to support the student that might not even be in a position to access such a technologies. Because you know, not many old people come from able families. Others come from lowly families. Like some of us come from villages that you could not even afford to compete at the rate of other people. And when you see this technology coming, you will find that some other families will lag behind. Some students will lag behind. Others cannot even afford a smartphone. So, if one cannot afford a smartphone, how will you then think that is going to afford a computer? So, technology will be good anyway, but there is still some time that is needed.
Thank you, Mr. Kato. At policy level, Mr. Edgar, we still
Yes.
look into the funding of
Yes.
universities. Two things here. One is a suggestion. There have been a number of suggestions, especially from student leaders,
Yes.
the likes of Kinakato and formerly Babu Wino and others that I'll not mention on
And
the
in
show.
Maroba, okay, one
And of course
Now, Mr. Koski,
Yes,
one,
sir.
there was a suggestion
you. Yes.
that let these loan be converted into a grant
Yes,
scheme.
yes.
One. Two, the issue of increasing it. So at policy level, a number of people may really want to know how practical is this thing when it comes to converting it into a grant scheme, or how easy is it policy-wise to just wake up and increase these loans? Should the government print money? Help us to understand on at the policy level.
First, you were asking about the new capping that was going to be given out.
The 200,000
Yes.
proposal.
Yes. Now, we have the initial 16,000, right? After this, it will go up to around 48,000. That is what the parliamentary committee, that is what they said. First, you need to ask yourself, how are universities funded? One, government. Two, tuition fees. Three, donors. Four, grants. Five, I mean, universities are funded from left, right, center. We cannot, all of us, pay our school fees. The best scenario possible is when you go to school without paying anything. Right now, we are talking about 5% of the population being graduates. As a country, we are in a sorry state. When you are talking about only graduates should vie for elective seats, you are shutting out 95%. So Kenya should be studied and should be looked into, that these 95%, how are we going to study it? Give them relevant education so that the country can grow. When you start increasing school fees, it means that the country is going to be disadvantaged and the country is going to be poor forever. So let's get everyone to school. That should be the priority. Even if you're going to tax Kenyans beyond, but let everyone go to school, even the old people. Because the level of decision making depends on how cultivated your mind is. Your innovation, research, development depends on how you cultivate your mind. How are we going to continue with industrialization? With us looking at this, we're struggling. For me, I went to school when I was working. I used to work during the day. How do you subject people from far places, like he said, to looking for school fees, selling cows, selling maize, just to raise what government can put policies in place? Or most say it is a sorry state. There were some proposals on what we can do. One, insurance on school fees. Can we have insurance so that I am guaranteed to go to school because I'm insured? Two, we have also guaranteed loans. When you go to the university, you have 100% guaranteed loan.
That you'll get.
That
You'll
you'll get.
yours.
But I'm saying,
The country should be given something known as university bond. You see the government bond, the one we give the government money so that it can work with it and it will give us. We should give it university bond so that we can go to school. I know of people who scored highly and could not go to school. I know that. And it is a sorry state. It is for the rich, man. It's for the rich. So, leaders like us in the country, we should be serious. Not even sit down, serious.
Edgar has opened
Yeah.
another thing which I didn't want it to come at this time, but it's important that it comes at this time. He's talked of the funding and given a number of proposals on the approaches. This brings another question. As I was passing in the streets sometime later on, you know, we as journalists, our ears are ever there, so that when we come here, we have something to tell and also something to offer as a solution. That's why you are here tonight to help the country understand a number of things regarding education. So someone was saying, kwani tangu hii corona ikuje, we are not seeing any institution of higher learning ikuja hata na miti shamba, you know, just some jobs. I think now they are referring to research. One. Two, when there was claims all over that some people had brought in sugar with mercury, with the contents of mercury inside, fear came to a number of people. I know even you, mtu anakuambia unakunywa mercury hapo. So I also had the same comment that don't we have a university around here in Kenya which is offering chemical engineering and associate courses that someone can pick those sugar and tomorrow give an independent report that indeed it's true there is mercury in this sugar or not. So when it comes to research, how is our capacity? And just a disclaimer, do not mention any university, its name, just look at it across. How is our capacity, without pointing fingers, to handle research and innovation?
Thank you very much. I think our capacity as universities in Kenya to handle research is sort of wanting. Yeah, I think maybe this is brought about because of the expenses. Doing the research definitely will cost some few millions, which the universities may not be able to afford. So they cannot fund a research to try and find out, like the one you're saying about mercury. They don't have the funding. Maybe they also do not have the technology itself to do the funding, but to do the research. But at the end of it all, what amounts to that the universities and cannot manage to do research is the monies. Yeah, because I'm very sure taking now, let's assume like we take that sugar and try to find out does it really have mercury or not. It will be expensive for a certain university.
Thank you.
So
I'll not invite you in because your time is coming over something crucial which you will sweat. Mr. Edgar, concerning this, the little knowledge that I know is that universities exist majorly on research. So when we find ourselves in such a scenario that Madam Josephine has talked about, the Kenyan capacity of universities to handle research, that something is still not working. How soon and what again do you think can be stamped in to ensure that we have universities that can be solutions to all these problems, especially things to do with research?
Almost say, how much do we put into funding as a government compared to GDP? $90 million. What is the recommended funding compared to the GDP that the United Nations gives? It is 6%. What is that percentage to the Kenyan GDP? 0.48%. The countries that are so ahead in technology, Israel, the highest, has 4.95% of the GDP. When they are reading their budgets, they say this 4.9% is for research. In Kenyan universities, it is 0.48, underfunded. So, people people like them who are still in school, people like me who are still in school, I will not be encouraged to research. Research brings about innovation. There's something you're asking about. Why don't we have industries like such? But almost I want to propose a policy. Every government company must have a university attached at that residence, so that you can go to class in the morning and you go to work in the afternoon. In-service training, talk to doctors. They learn in the hospital. Why don't we engineers, why don't we marketers not learn in service? Why can't we have a government who gives us such a policy, so that when your child is going to school, you know he's going to Mumias Sugar company attached to Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology.
Or Presbyterian University of East Africa.
Oh yes, or Presbyterian. And Presbyterian has mechanical engineering that supports Mumias. Presbyterian has business administration supporting Mumias. And Presbyterian has civil engineering supporting Mumias, attached to Mumias. We go to school, do our theory. You know, research would help us improve Mumias and Trans Nzoia and those others. And it will even encourage government to say, we have a company in Narok. Now let's put a company in Narok and attach a university to it. Siwezi kosa kazi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Edgar. You'll have some time during your submission towards the end of the show to say something again regarding that. Now, after all is said and done, there is that social aspect of human. When people come together, especially at the universities, there's how they organize themselves. University students are not young people. They elect their leaders, their representatives to represent them both within and without the universities. In the year 2015, Honorable Duale, the former majority leader, came up with a bill which actually changed the way university students elect their leaders. Now, it deviated from how the likes of Kina Orengo those days, Kabando those days, Mwandawiro Mganga those days, and all those people were there, Kina Tito Adungosi, you remember in history, where the student leaders are now elected by delegates, not one man, one vote system. So tonight we want to do a brief review from this deviation to understand, has it served for the better, or it's now posing major threat to students' organization? Looking at you briefly, don't defend it, don't fight it, just take a neutral stand.
Thank you very much, Bwana Cornelius. As per me, I see it has both advantages and disadvantages.
But now you look at where it is weighted, because we are doing a review. Has it worked or it has not worked? If it has not worked, we send Kina Edgar to Parliament to go and change it. If it has worked, we tell them, keep quiet, go work on research funds as we move forward.
Sure, it has worked. It has helped, or rather, it helps almost all people. Those that possibly might not have afforded the high class campaigns to go into leadership. There are others possibly that might not have gotten a lot of popularity. But if you can convince the few delegates that are given that can do the elections, it's very, very good. And I believe it is okay. Although at another higher level, it might not be good. Because like now, it's the university that produces the future leaders. Taking an example of those leaders that have been in the university level, presidents or chairman as of now, when they go out, they have gotten the guts, the skills to go and participate in the political kind of arena. But now when they have not gotten the chance of convincing the masses, how then will they convince out there? You find that if one is competing as MCA, as member of parliament, as senator, he cannot make it. Because here he was only going one-on-one, yet out there it needs masses. So as well I may believe, or rather think, that if students can be given a chance, they should participate fully in the elections, that even those that are coming up, they develop their zeal, their guts to go and convince the rest of other students to elect them than the 1, 2, 3, which as per spending and so on, is okay. But as per the future leadership of our country, of our region, even let me say continental-wide, we require people that can speak out, that can convince out masses. So I think it can change and go back.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sally Kato. It's coming from the host mouth, someone who is a student leader and knows
like
where
to interrupt a bit.
Yes.
I wanted to see myself going out campaigning here, there, convincing many people, but at the end of it all, I found talking to few.
You sat in a boardroom somewhere.
Oh yeah, who could, as in?
You sat in a boardroom somewhere to convince them.
You meet them out. Okay, it's a bit of that great politics that is played at the university, but then you require to go out and meet as many. I remember I was at Uganda Matters University some time ago, and when I was there, we participated also in the campus politics. During that time, we could stand on the podium. We go to different, we used to call them centers, quadrangles. You go to the quadrangle, meet them people there. Go to the field, meet them, and you feel you are indeed participating in the politics. Unlike the way it is now, that you may meet one person, please vote for me, please support me, I'm going to do this. We need to speak out to the majority, to many people, that those that feel that they are buying your ideas, buying what you are going to do, they can support you fully, and you feel yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sally Kato. Mr. Edgar,
Yes.
just a brief review on this Duale law, that he came up with it and he had his way and it's operating up to right now. Do you think it's the best way to prepare our young people into future leadership? Yes, Duale had his own as a motion mover. He explained why he thought it was the best approach, and he convinced the majority of the MPs. They passed
the law.
Here we are tonight. Do you think it has been one of the best approaches to leadership?
Laws sometimes are not perfect. So student leaders, when they come out sometimes, they find it so rough, and they don't survive in the politics of the country. Why do you have a different system in the universities? It's like being in a different country. And then you now come out and learn the waters. We should know how to run our country through the universities. So for me, the advantage of that system is that it has calmed down the politics at the university. You find yourself talking to one friends. So there are no campaigns where you come together and you and you convince and you push people. So it has calmed down the universities. Well, if we have elections like the ones in our country, our universities will be messy. But why can't we try it? Why can't someone repeal that law so that we can prepare our young people to come out and fight the way they fight in school? There are few people who survive. Kabando, Moses Kuria, very few, you can name them, few. While others just go and fizzle out and that's the end of them. We want those leaders who are vibrant to come out and run outside. Yes.
Thank you so much. Now, it now brings us into another thing. History defines our present, and also our future. Looking into those years, Madam Njoki, the academia world, they call themselves we from the academia. During the Moi regime, they used to be there, coming out always, saying here, taxation has gone beyond the limit. You find a particular scholar on matters to do with economics, stands out, gives it out, here and here and here. This is how it was supposed to have been done. Another one comes, the role of the academia or the scholars in promoting credible governance. There is that view that it is fizzling out slowly by slowly. What's contributing into this? That the scholars, the academia world is not really playing its role when it comes to the country's leadership.
I thank you. I tend to think probably comparing back then when they were vocal and when they would stand up and say no, this is not going right in the direction that you want it this way. Times have changed. Let's start with that. Maybe why it has fizzled down somehow. Either people feel intimidated to talk, Yeah, maybe I might go and say this and that and that, and then maybe they'll be having some consequences somewhere. Or maybe humanity just decided, I mean, we no longer care, I mean, we can do whatever else. We've chosen to keep quiet and play it cool, rather than stand and say, no, this cannot happen. Yeah.
Now, that is from the horse mouth, also someone who actually is in the academia line. Mr. Sally Kato, it comes also to the contribution of the university students, just as Mr. Edgar talked about, you being prepared for future leadership or for the country leadership, continental leadership. Student leaders were known years back to be people who could also stand and point out some of the ills in the society. Not only the government, but actually it's the government that's usually viewed most of the times because it controls almost everything that you do, be it tax, be it everything the government does. How has the student leadership been, or what is their performance when it comes to promoting credible governance in the country?
Thank you very much, Cornelius. It is charity begins at home. And I believe leaders are developed at this stage in the university. Once great leaders come out of the university, they will go out and exercise what they have really done before here. So I would as well, going back to the issue that we discussed with Edgar here, that we could let people participate fully here at the university level. When they participate fully, they are developed here. Their talents, their skills that are embedded deeper inside of them, they grow there. So when they come out as well, they are in a position to exercise it. I remember as well and see some of the leaders that, like let me say in the church, for example, those leaders that have been leaders in the school, when they go out, they indeed participate and they produce well. So I would as well think that let me say the kitchen for leaders is the university. Because that's where people feel I can think, I can reason and do something out there. But again you find that those who go there, at times they are put down. Maybe they are limited. They don't have resources. For example, you want to go and contest, maybe in his test or there, Bwana Omuse. You feel, people still feel you are not ready. Yet you feel I can. So I would think that as well the country out there should participate, should support those students that have been leaders, that have been, at least they have tried to work at the university. When they go out there, let the government, let the counties, let the churches, let organization look for them, help them grow what they have. Because if they don't do that, then they might, or the country may lose great leaders, people that would contribute to the growth of the country, growth of the region, and even the continent, and even those people that participate in the international affairs and leadership.
Thank you so much,
they
Mr.
come right from there. Yes.
This brings us into something as we come to the parting shot, still regarding the organization and the modes of transactions of our universities. Dr. William Ruto then, when he was the Minister for Higher Education, he came up with a proposal that arts courses to be underfunded or to be done away with, and more focus to be put on science courses. He left that place, currently is holding a higher position than that. And I think sometimes when he's talking about TVET, he's been also bringing that thing though from a distance. And we want to look at ourselves beginning from Madam Josephine. Can we have a system where we only value science and do not really focus on arts courses? What is the likelihood results when it comes to people living together and also being productive in everything that they do?
Thank you, Cornelius. I don't think we can do away with the arts. Yeah, because the arts courses and the science, they go hand in hand. Because we can have, yes, engineers, and we can have the doctors, but at the end of the day, we still need that social worker. We still need that person who is dealing in the psychology world, so that we can balance. Yeah, we still also need to remind people, even if you're an engineer, even if you're a doctor, before I get there, I'm a human being. Yeah, so we have to balance science and art.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Kosgei,
Yes, sir.
can we do away with the arts, or do we offer courses that we feel aligns to our needs as a country? And thirdly, do we come to a point of acknowledging that there are better courses and those courses that are not good? How do we harmonize these two statements? Ile sometimes unafanya course gani? Ati ya hiyo iko sawa, inakuwa na pesa.
Kuna kosi ya pesa by the way.
Those are some of the better considerations. But
Kuna
again,
kosi ya pesa.
can we do away with the arts?
First, I want to I want to give no, Kenya has progressed from one university in 1963 to 20 with students capacity of less than 1,000 to right now we have 22 public. I wonder whether yours is public.
It's private.
It's
Private,
private.
yes. Now I'm not talking about private. Private are just private. Public 22 with a student population of 150,000. We have come from far. William Ruto, that time when he was the Minister for Education, he opened it up and encouraged colleges to transform into universities. But I want us to be cautious in stepping on arts and bringing up sciences. We need sciences as a country. And everyone has to look at that direction of sciences because of the manufacturing and industrialization of the country. Social sciences, social arts support sciences. They support sciences. So if we put it ahead, we will have sciences follow. When Mumias Sugar is productive, then you'll have a police post there, paid by the taxes from Mumias Sugar. Mumias Sugar produces sugar, which sells to the country or other countries to the world. But when you get revenue, you have the police and you have the teachers. You have the medics who will support the society. So I support him in a way that we give
You're
sciences.
talking of the prioritization.
Yeah, but cautiously, in a very cautious.
Many things. Now, we've had our discussions. We've seen what is ailing the university education and some of the loopholes that are there. On Power Brief, we don't just leave things hanging and we go home. At least we try to offer opinions, solutions, ideas and suggestions that we think if this button is pressed, then it can contribute towards seeing that we have one of the best higher education systems ever, or whatever topic that we're handling. So in summary and also in summary, what do you think all stakeholders and players should put in place to ensure that the university system in Kenya gets that higher level?
I think Cornelius, I think the government can fund universities on the research sector, so that we can have more research done at our universities. That is going to raise us as a country. Yes. So I think that would be good.
Thank you. As
Mr.
well,
Kato.
I will say that let technology be embraced. That almost every university you have great technology, that all the students will be in position to compete, because right now it's a matter of competing. If your students are not moving to the current world, they will suffer in the future. It's like the way you see right now. Let me say an example of education. In Tanzania, students are in school full-time, primary, secondary, up to university. Kenya, there is some break. In Uganda, for example, last year, from class nursery to class 3, they have never gone to school. So there is a problem in the future, in the next 20 years. So if you don't compete according to the way the rest compete, you will suffer. So I request, if you can do kind of benchmarking You see how other universities are using technology to embrace or rather to develop their students. The rest of other universities could copy the same, such that we may not have town people and village people.
Thank
we
you
have
so much.
remote people and even moderate people.
Thank you
that
so
we may
much.
move at the same level. Technology is very key and should be embraced by almost everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Edgar, in summary, as we come to the
Yes. My proposal to the next policy formulation is, one, we should have a mandatory 6% funding the way the United Nations recommends. That should be mandatory. Number two, they have just said attach every public university to every public industry. And number three, we need to bridge
public
the
and
gap.
private.
If
All
public,
universities.
because this is the government working. It should give a directive, public.
Thank you.
And when
But
private
even when
should
it is
do
private,
that.
private.
And the last one is to bridge the gap of the graduates. They are very few in the country.
Many thanks. That is Mrs. Josephine Njoki and also Mr. Sally Kato, Mr. Edgar Kosgei. From the academia, from the policy level, these three wonderful people have been able to take us through such a wonderful discussion tonight, because we took a break from the political discussions. It's been a wonderful night, and we also appreciate your comments, your feedback on our social media platforms. Tomorrow, the Presbyterian University of East Africa will be holding its graduation ceremony at the main campus, that is at Kikuyu Thogoto. This discussion will most likely continue at that place, because we shall have guests and scholars will grace the occasion. Make a date with CAC TV, because it will be broadcasting that event live. For me, Cornelius Omuse, the entire Power Brief production team, that is the technical team, and all those who made this production a success, I say thank you and I wish you a very good night. Let's meet next time.